To the NBA now, and I love that the Hornets were facing the Pistons tonight, as it would allow us to again reference that the Pistons are in first place. That's a story that still feels, I think, underappreciated and perhaps not known to a large degree by the masses. It also gave us the on-ramp to ask this question. Do you know what the Hornets are doing? 9 consecutive wins. That's the longest streak in the NBA, trending towards being part of the postseason. We saw Detroit get there last year. Just a couple of seasons ago, these two teams combined to win 35 games. That was what I was excited to discuss. Then the game took a turn. So we'll start with that. So sometimes guys get upset towards the tunnel, and here's what was said after.
Our guys deal with a lot, right? But they're not the ones that initiated. They're not the ones that crossed the line tonight. It was clear, through frustration because of what JD was doing, that they crossed the line. And I hate that it got as ugly as it got. That's not something that you ever want to see. But if a guy throws a punch at you, you have a responsibility to protect yourself.
Obviously, everybody in the NBA, we're all high-level athletes. Anybody coming at you, a grown man coming at you that way, you want to defend yourself. But there's a lot going on. I can't act like I just had the best view of everything, but I thought we tried to defend ourselves and we move on.
Yeah, what was it like being out there in the middle of all that action?
What was it like?
Yeah.
It's fun. Next question.
Paul Reed down low. Coach Williams called for an offensive foul. Had the knockout of their own. It's Cunningham, a 33.9 rebound, 7 assists tonight. Pistons up 8. Tobias Harris working on Knipple down low. Hornets win streak snapped at 9. Detroit moves to 39 and 13.
Pistons bench proved to be the ones that were able to come in and really close this thing out and get it done. Natalie Kerwin alongside Greg Kelser here welcoming you all onto Pistons Live postgame. And wow, is all I have to say from watching that.
Incredible.
What a big win for this group, and a foundational win that I think will help them as they continue on through this season and into the playoffs, learning how to win through tough moments.
Yeah, learning how to win through tough moments, but also learning maybe a lesson while winning in keeping your heads, keeping your composure, because this is not over for the Pistons, I don't think. We'll find out what the future ramifications are going to be and what it might mean for the game in Toronto on Wednesday and then beyond. But staying in the moment, it was an incredible display of courage, I think, and just believing once again and showing everybody that no matter what, you know how to win, because the Pistons were without Jalen Duren and Isaiah Stewart from about the middle of the third quarter on. Ron Holland wasn't even in North Carolina for personal reasons, so that was part of the equation too. And I thought when all of that went down and they cleared everything out, that this crowd would be big time into it, and they were. But it was the Pistons that really stepped up to the challenge. They went from 8 up to 16 up once that melee occurred. And that gave them enough of a cushion to hang in there and deal with whatever Charlotte had left. And they end up walking out of here with a big victory. It was tremendous. Cade Cunningham, huge down the stretch, as he has been all year. He's one of the best clutch performers in the league. That was on display tonight. But you cannot. Duncan Robinson, I thought, was excellent. You cannot say enough about Paul Reed. Paul Reed has saved them yet again. He's done it again.
Let's talk about him.
He's done it more times than one this year, when just pushed into action through attrition, when all those guys were out hurt early back in December. Remember, he played that great game, 28 and 13 against the Bulls. Played a great game against Philadelphia to follow that one up as a starter. But here tonight, free throws, he was outstanding. Without Paul Reed being able to come into the game and do what he did tonight, Pistons would not have won. I'm sure of that. And I like what he said in his interview with you. Somebody's got to stay cool and poised.
Yeah.
As much as he would have liked to have gone out there.
I think every guy probably would have. You got to have each other's backs. But
you want to come into the game. You want to show your teammate I got your back. But Paul Reed understood, if I go out there, I'm going to be ejected. And then who's going to go out there?
Left?
Yeah, who's left? Who's going to get rebounds? Who's going to play defense? He kept his poise, and he helped seal this game.
Yeah, he did, and he's our Cure Auto player of the game for that reason. So he's always he comes in, and it was just funny throughout the broadcast. It's like he was in on every big play. It's like, there he is again, rebound, steal, tip, this and that. I mean, he affects the game in so many ways, and that's what you got to love about him. So he is always ready, and that's his mindset. That's how he prepares every single day.
This was another example of just what we were talking about before the game. Most teams believe that when their opponents have to go to their bench, you got them. Because there's usually a drop-off of some sort when teams have to go to the bench. Well, the Pistons had to go deep on the bench because Jalen Duren's the starter, Isaiah Stewart's the backup, and Paul Reed's the backup to Isaiah Stewart. But there was no drop-off. In fact, it got better for the Pistons when Paul Reed came on the floor. It's
the opposite for Detroit, right? It's like, oh, don't worry. We're actually going to thrive when something like this happens and we have to go to our bench.
It's incredible.
So let's take a look then at that third quarter when that melee went down, Greg, just from what we saw. I mean, let's take a look at just how everything went down and, obviously 4 ejections.
You see Isaiah Stewart came flying off the bench. He didn't care. At that point, he did not care about any ejections, future ejections, or whatever. He was going out there in support of his teammate. So as a result, the two of them are ejected, Isaiah and Jalen, and then it went from there. Later on, the Charlotte coach, Lee, was ejected. So it did have everything. It had everything. But the cooler heads turned out to be the Pistons with Cade Cunningham, Duncan Robinson, Paul Reed, Asar Thompson coming in, playing some key defensive moments. It was just a good team victory and another way that the Pistons were able to find just how to get it done at the end, but at the same time, another lesson in guys, we got to stay cool out there.
Just got
to figure out a way to stay cool even when the game might be at its most intense.
All right, everybody stay calm as best you can, and the rest of this group did, and they were able to get it done. So you mentioned Duncan Robinson. Let's talk about Dunkyard Dog. We're making him our Buick GMC Pro Vision here tonight. We saw a few plays from him, a few little dunks. Even though he made fun of himself, felt like he had a parachute on, he said, when he went up for that first one. But then I felt like he was flying after that.
Duncan played a really good game, a good movement without the ball game. Hit a couple of outside shots, but did a lot inside that arc for him. Here he is right here helping to corral ball. And this ball eventually, goes over to the Pistons. Here he is again, just in the right place with active hands. Here's that dunk he had, or near dunk he had, or dunk he didn't have in the first half. Eventually in this game, he was a huge part of what the Pistons were able to accomplish. If I look at the notes, I'll find that Duncan Robinson had 18 points in the game. 18 big points in 24 minutes of action. He was 8 of 10 from the floor. Only 1 of 3 from triple end. He did a lot inside the arc.
Right, which is not what we usually see from him.
Not normally, but good to see.
Good to see. Expanding the game a little bit, impacting it in other ways. Well, speaking of three-pointers, that's what Charlotte obviously was hanging their head on tonight, especially in that first half. But the Pistons were dominating inside, which is what they usually do. And that was the tail of the first half, as you were explaining really well. It was like strength on strength. Pistons were able to have the edge, obviously in the paint. And then Charlotte from the outside. But let's talk about Pistons' ability to continue to score in the paint. Those are our Xfinity high-speed highlights.
Well, here's the thing. The Pistons played to their personality, which was this: getting it done in the painted area, attacking the basket. They lead the league in points in the paint disparity. That's not going to change after tonight. They were 60. Use that to ward off what the Hornets were doing behind that arc. They knocked down 19 out of 47 threes in this game. You don't lose too many games when you make that many threes. And so, that'll be the disappointment for Charlotte. They made 19 threes, and yet they still got the L because they could not contend with the Pistons on the inside. The Pistons just overwhelmed them in the painted area scoring.
Crazy. So Pistons, they were able to get it done despite how dominant the Hornets were from the outside. But just happy to walk away from this one, Special K.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I was hoping, my hope was that the Pistons could win these last 2 games before the All-Star break and get to victory number 40. Tonight was victory number 39.
Yep.
They're right there on the heels of the Oklahoma City Thunder, right there on the heels. Both teams have 13 losses. Oklahoma City has played 1 more game. To do that now, they've got to win in Toronto, and we don't know what this team is going to look like after the NBA takes a further look at all that went down tonight. But fortunately for the Pistons, they've shown that they'll figure it out, whatever the case might be.
They will,
Yeah.
and they're creeping up on their win total last year of 44.
How about that? Before the All-Star break.
Can you believe that? That's crazy. So it just shows what this team has been able to do is an incredible story in itself. So absolutely unbelievable. JB Bickerstaff, we're going to head to him now in his post-game press conference after this wild game we saw here tonight inside Spectrum Center.
JB, obviously a lot went down in that third quarter. Just before we even get to that, what did you like about the team's resolve tonight, the way they were able to pull away and own the game after the last 3 quarters?
No, I thought our guys did a great job of playing within the lines. And, you know, our big guys in particular on a night-by-night basis deal with a lot. Right? They're treated differently as far as what's allowed to them physically. If you go back and watch our games in the trenches, you know, those guys get beat up night in and night out. And they do a great job of maintaining their composure. You know, our group tonight did a great job of sticking with it, understanding what was most important, and figuring out a way to win down the stretch.
And what did you see in that third quarter, just on both sides? And that's what you guys
again, our guys deal with a lot, right? But they're not the ones that initiated. They're not the ones that crossed the line tonight. It was clear, you know, through frustration because of what JD was doing, that they crossed the line. And I hate that it got as ugly as it got. That's not something that you ever want to see. But if a guy throws a punch at you, you have a responsibility to protect yourself. And that's what happened tonight. You go back and watch the film. They're the ones that initiated crossing the line. And our guy had to defend himself.
Coach, I know majority of this is going to be thrown at Isaiah Stewart, just the way that he kind of came off the bench and stuff. But just from the human aspect, like how, I guess, frustrating is it or disappointing is it just to see it, especially considering that last week we were just talking about how the way he has been throughout this whole entire season, just keeping his composure and stuff.
Again, I mean, you see it one way, I see it another way. Obviously, again, I repeat, you know, we don't want to see it get to that point. But when you go back and watch the film, they ran multiple guys at JD. You know, JD and Stu consider themselves to be brothers. And if you run 2 guys at 1 guy and, you know, you've already crossed the line, you know, human instinct tells him to protect his little brother. Again, I hate to see it again, but that's the nature of what happened. So, you know, I hate it for Stu because of the things that are going to follow. But, you know, again, we weren't the ones that crossed the line tonight and initiated this. You good? All right.
A fresh who prevailed despite the few ejections on Detroit's side. They were able to get this thing done 110-104. We'll hopefully hear from someone in Pistons Live on FanDuel Sports Network is presented by Cure Auto Insurance. Visit Cure.com today and save. And by your local Toyota dealer. For all Toyota offers, visit Toyota.com. Cade Cunningham led this Pistons team tonight with 33 points. He is standing by now in the Pistons locker room.
Okay, just what does tonight's win say about the mentality of this team? Obviously, just the toughness factor that goes into it.
Bro, don't be talking, bro, while during my interview.
Just the elephant. He's some out of game on there. Just the elephant in the room.
I think it says a lot about our grit and our resilience. You know, it was a lot of emotion to the game. Fans were into it. But for us to stay together and pull through was a great win for us.
Cade, you spoke on the emotions. What did you see from your vantage point in the third quarter when the altercation happened?
I mean, you know, saw the 2 guys come together. I mean, the headbutt was what it was. And from there, I thought, you know, JD was just trying to defend himself. Obviously, everybody in the NBA, we're all high-level athletes. Anybody coming at you, a grown man coming at you that way, you know, you want to defend yourself. But, you know, there's a lot going on. I can't act like I just had the best view of everything. But I thought we tried to defend ourselves, and we move on.
What's it kind of say just about the ability to kind of put that behind y'all? You end up closing them out down the stretch, and then kind of also considering they have won 9 in a row, I believe.
It says a lot. We got a really deep team. You know, a lot of guys that wait on their number to be called and they step up and they're ready. And tonight was another night of that. You know, Paul Reed doesn't play the whole first half, doesn't play up until that moment. JD's playing well, Stu's playing well. And for him to step in and be another big presence that adds a lot to the game just says a lot about his character and his mindset going in the game.
You good?
I got one more thing to say. My coach, my high school coach, Alan Gratz, passed away last night. I just want to dedicate this game to him. Anybody that's watching from back home, you know, we stick together. But Coach Gratz is a big part of my life. You know, and so I just think about all the people that, you know, helped me along this journey to get to where I'm at today. So I'm thankful. I know he's looking down, but just wanted to, you know, pray for my school, pray for everybody, his family, his friends that's involved with that. And I hope I, you know, continue to make him proud.
What's his name and spelling?
Alan Gratz, ALLENGRATTS. I tried to wear my Bowie color shoes tonight for him, but all up. Appreciate y'all.
So Cade with a 30-piece here tonight in Charlotte. And the Pistons are able to prevail despite the adversity here tonight. Now the next part of their trip, the last stop before All-Star break, takes them to Toronto. The Raptors sitting in 5th in the Eastern Conference. Scotty Barnes and the Raptors are who they're about to see in just a couple of days, sitting at just under 20 points a game. Toronto leading the league in fast break points, so Pistons will have to prepare for the kind of pace that they play with. But as we saw tonight, the Pistons are ready for anything. They keep finding ways to win, and they're going to keep doing so with the mentality they have with this group and the depth that they have as well. All right, so